Okay, hi, I'm Sean Cassidy. I'm the CTO of Praesidio. We are a security data platform for financial companies and fintech companies. You send us all of your log events and we tell you information about your network security, anomalies, and everything. So today I want to talk about anomaly detection. But first we need to talk about your network security. You probably have a lot of things to protect your network, like a firewall, security policies, antivirus, anti-malware, intrusion detection, log collection, alerting, software updates. You train your users to not be phished, maybe even use threat intelligence, access control, even endpoint security, two-factor auth, and if you're really advanced, maybe even memory forensics. And if you're doing all of this, you're actually in a really good place, congrats. But this is not enough, unfortunately. So all of these things, even though you're paying a lot of money for them and everything, it's still not quite enough. So let's talk about it, because the attackers are still winning. So how are attackers still winning? So here's an example phishing email that I wrote, adapted from a company I was talking to. And it's very reasonable, and it's a normal email address, Yahoo, so it's not some malicious domain. It was never used before. It was sent to some loan officer at a bank, and the person who does this is, does this normally. Says, hey, I'm applying for a loan. I saw a few houses, and here's a Word document. Can you open it and see if any of the houses in here are within my price range? The email's well written. It looks legitimate. It doesn't have any misspellings or anything. And this is a phishing email. And once you get the Word document with obviously a malicious payload, it looks like this. So the user has been warned. Macros are in here. And click enable content. And enable content, by the way, is not a really great indicator that there could be something malicious going on here. And this is what the document looks like. So the loan officer clicks this, and then nothing happens, and they're like, oh, what's going on? And then their computer has been hacked. You might say, oh, well, my users would never do that. We trained them. Actually, this was opened by the security administrator as well, who ran the phishing training too, because this, I don't know what it is. It's so compelling. You just want to click enable content and open it. But now they're on one of your workstations. And they're going to maintain access and avoid detection. They can do that a lot of different ways. Antivirus nowadays is extremely easy to bypass. We're actually seeing some more advanced companies kind of move away from antivirus. Rootkits and remote access tools are easy to write and easy to use. You can either buy them or write them yourself. It's not too hard. They're going to watch traffic on the machine to figure out what assets are on your network without scanning. Gone are the days where they need to scan your whole network to find out what to attack. They'll just see what's going on each machine that they compromise, and so any honeypots or anything aren't being triggered. And they take it slow. They don't need to rush through this. The mean time to compromise on an attack is months. To discovery of an attack is months. So they take it slow. They don't push out a lot of data right away. Now they're going to pivot. They're going to go onto other parts of your network. So what's next? They want to leverage the user's credentials. They want to maybe pass the hash or something. They want to exploit out-of-date software on their network, elevate, expand their access. Ransomware is huge. It's all in the news. They could lock all of your files up and then charge you money. They want to escalate and spread out. So if your idea of network security is that you're hard on the outside, hard on the perimeter, I have my firewall, it's good, but then kind of soft on the inside, as soon as you're in the network, you're trusted, you're done. Gone are the days where you are saying that well, everything inside my network is trusted, or I can trust this LAN, or I can trust this Wi-Fi network. That is not true, because nothing is trusted anymore. So let's look at all of your things and see what would they have helped. Firewall, definitely not. It was sent from a Yahoo address, and they downloaded it from Dropbox or something. Security policies, nope. Antivirus doesn't catch anything anymore. Anti-malware, maybe. It depends on your anti-malware solution. In this example, it did not. Intrusion detection, definitely not. Log collection will help after the fact, so that when you discover the compromise, the fact that you're collecting all of your logs will help you eventually. Regular old alerting, definitely not. Software updates, it wasn't a software bug. Phishing training, it may help. The people who were phished in this example had a lot of phishing training and they were still phished. So it didn't help in this case. Threat intelligence, definitely not. You can use a new IP address. Access control, nope. Endpoint security, maybe. Again, there are some endpoint security tools that will help you, but in this case, it didn't. Two-factor authentication doesn't, and memory forensics doesn't, because there was no vulnerability or buffer overflow that they exploited. So my overall point to this is that signature-based detection is flawed. So signature-based detection is anything antivirus or intrusion detection where it says, this is what the attack looks like, and so therefore notify me when the attack looks like this. And the reason why it's flawed is because you can just change your malware not to fit antivirus signatures. This is easy to do. This is very, very common. It's not complicated. This isn't something you need to be the best hacker in the world. Any hacker could do this. Intrusion detection signatures are easy to change. To evade threat intelligence is lists of bad IP addresses and domain names that attackers are using. So if you want to evade threat intelligence, get a new IP address. They're cheap. Get a new domain name. They cost $12. A really great way that we're seeing recently is actually hijacking legitimate servers and legitimate services to deliver your payload. So we see a lot of malware on Dropbox, on content delivery networks like Akamai, because those servers are serving legitimate traffic, so you can't, it's very hard to tell what's legitimate, what's not. And spear phishing is very cheap and very effective. So before, phishing was just, kind of scattershot all over the place, but now it is very cheap and effective. They can hit 100 companies in a day easily and make it personalized to who is working at your company or your bank. And if your workforce is mobile, there's no more perimeter at all anymore. If people are using cell phones and laptops in a hotel or something, the perimeter is gone. So Thomas Hill, which is one of Praesidio's customers, says this about signature-based detection, that it's only 40 to 60% effective. So it helps, you still need it, but it's not everything. It used to be everything, and it is no longer everything. And anomaly detection is the thing that's going to help us fill that gap. Anomaly detection is really just more signal, okay? So it comes from the understanding that attackers must at some point do something your employees don't, otherwise they'd be your employees. So they have to do something. They have to exfiltrate data or install backdoors or add nodes to a botnet or modify systems. And if we can just somehow capture whatever it is that they do, when they do it, that is the anomaly. So instead of looking for specific indicators of oh, this is what it looks like when somebody attacks me, if I just look for something that's outside of normal, if I just look for something that's different, and whatever that means, it's kind of fuzzy, then I'll catch it. Because attackers are smart people, right? They can adapt. They know that you're using antivirus, and they know what antivirus you're using. So they can work around that. But if instead you're just looking at all of their behavior and matching it up against all of your users' behavior, then it's much harder for them to work around. Anomaly detection is supposed to watch everything. So all of these bits of security that you already have, great, you don't have to get rid of them. Anomaly detection will take the logs from all of these things and use it to understand what is normal and what isn't normal on your network. So it's additive. Okay. So how do you use anomaly detection? One, you have to model your network for threats. What is normal? What is acceptable behavior on your network? Now you need to develop attacker scenarios. Once you know what normal is, what are the things that they're likely to do? Are they likely to try and phish you? Yes. Are they likely to find a zero-day exploit in your firewall? Probably not. That's probably not likely. Find the data which would indicate compromise. If you don't have the data, you can't alert on it. You can't develop anomalies. So then you need to gather that data. Then you need to say, okay, well, this data would indicate something in this scenario. And then we're going to develop algorithms from that data to find those indicators. So let's go through each one of these. Okay, threat modeling. What are the entry points to your network? Hint, it's not just your firewall. It is going to be all of your endpoints, every web browser, every cell phone, your guest Wi-Fi network. All of those are entry points that you have to consider. Somebody walking into your office and plugging something in. Then what assets are important to you? Where do you keep your data? Do you keep your data on everyone's computer? In which case, all of your computers are important. That's not great. Now, what's going to be important to an attacker? Those aren't always the same thing. If an attacker thinks that something is important, then it is now important because they're going to try and attack it. Where do you have monitoring? A lot of people have monitoring on the firewalls, perimeter, that sort of thing, but they don't have internal network monitoring. And we're seeing a lot of attacks that go from one internal node to another and another and another. And if you don't have monitoring on that, you can't watch it. You can't do anomaly detection unless you have all this monitoring. And then what mitigations do you have in place? Like, do you have internal firewalls between your network segments? Do you have access control? And then what happens if those mitigations don't work? You'll have to have a backup plan. And what is your backup plan? OK, so once you do that, you can talk about scenarios. Here are some example scenarios that we often see. So like data exfiltration, a lot of people are worried about this. Database dumps, sensitive document leaks. So let's say normally your file server is busiest during the workday. Like normal, you know, people show up at 9, they start downloading files, and they leave at 5. But suddenly late at night, lots of data is leaving your network. Sounds suspicious, right? This is a reasonable scenario of maybe something is happening, maybe a data exfiltration event. Okay, what about botnet activity? Like, let's say the traffic on your network is mostly just web traffic, people browsing, people doing their work. But all of a sudden, IRC usage is way up. IRC is this old chat protocol that we often see used in botnets. Most businesses don't use IRC. But if you don't use it, and all of a sudden it's being used quite a bit, why? Why is it? How about insider threats? A lot of people are worried about employees of companies now turning against their companies, disgruntled employees. Let's say one of your employees' computers is active on a weekend, very active, but normally they're not. Was that computer hacked, or are they trying to evade detection? And for all of these scenarios, it's less like this is absolutely you were hacked, and more of just like, wouldn't you want to know about this? Or even reconnaissance. Anomaly detection can be a good leading indicator, like something is going to happen, not that something did happen. So like, let's say there's a lot of activity this week from Eastern Europe and China. Are they probing your network for weaknesses? What's going on, right? Don't you want to know about when people are actively investigating your network? Data. This is how you need to figure out how to work out all those things. And the way you're going to do it is instrumentation. So network instrumentation, all of your network devices generate logs. Intrusion detection generates logs. Your endpoints generate logs. All of these things need to have all of the data collected in one central place. Once it's collected in one central place, you can use a big data numbers. You can use a big data solution to crunch the numbers. It's data from Star Trek. Wanted to put a big data in there. But you need the big data solution to crunch the numbers and actually run the algorithm. Speaking of algorithms, I really recommend starting simple with what you can explain to other people. There's a lot of you can just think of when this line is trending this way. Those are great. Start with them. See how they go on your network. Like one simple thing that I'm sure a lot of people in this room are familiar with: exponential moving averages. If this is trending a certain way and it's trending too fast, maybe that's an anomaly. It's very simple. It's actually very effective in a lot of circumstances. If you want to get a little fancier, Netflix and Yahoo have two algorithms that are pretty good. Netflix is called Cirrus. That's the graph on the right. And Yahoo has one called eGads. Both really effective. And there's more advanced ones out there, Gaussian mixture models and all this kind of stuff. All those are cool, but definitely start simple. Start with what you can explain and then improve. So I want to talk about how Praesidio does anomaly detection real quick. We do it we've broken it down in 7 different ways. Volumetric, how much data each node sends. Protocol, the type of network traffic. Temporal, when the traffic is sent. Humans have this very schedule of like, oh, I show up at 9 on Mondays, but not on Sundays. Geographic, where is the data being sent? Role, which is, what are the users doing on your network and how do they normally do that? Lateral, the nodes on your network. Internal, how are they normally talking to each other? Is the salesperson talking to the IT server? Why are they doing that? And then, of course, custom. Every business has their own custom things that they need that is driven by their business. So I just want to talk about those real quick. So volumetric anomaly detection. This is going to catch the scenario of somebody just uploaded our entire database to Dropbox, right? Everybody wants to know when that happens. And this is going to detect those changes in data volume. Temporal anomaly detection. Looks like my time's up. Let me just finish up real quick. Like one employee was active 3 a.m. on a weekend. Why? It's a question you want to know about. And for custom anomaly detection, this is going to be built by you, tailored to your business needs. Why are the number of wire transfers being different? And that's it. So the one thought I wanted to leave you with was that your anomaly detection needs to constantly adapt, improve, and evaluate. If you're not constantly adapting, improving, and evaluating, it's not anomaly detection. That's it.